All right, what's better for your brain and your mind, a vegan diet or a diet including meat? Let's see what Max Lugavere had to say on the Diary of a CEO.
But also now we're starting to see other forms of animal products like beef, chicken, dairy are associated with reduced risk of cognitive decline. We know that animal products are the richest source of choline, and we've seen that higher consumption of choline is associated with reduced risk of cognitive decline.
Okay, let's also look at a response to that from our friend Mick the Vegan, or Mike the Vegan, I guess.
The description under the episode of Diary of CEO claims that he is a foremost brain expert. Well, let's contrast that to a Wikipedia description of him, which is an American television personality, health and wellness writer, and low carbohydrate diet advocate with a degree in film and psychology.
And I'm not a medical doctor. I didn't take an academic route. I didn't, get a PhD, but I had always been passionate about health and nutrition.
He immediately claims that Max is not qualified to speak on this topic. However, by virtue of his veganness, apparently he is a renowned authority. Hey guys, I'm Dr. Shawn Baker. Let's take a look at the data around whether a vegan or a diet with meat is actually better for brain function. So who is this Mike the Vegan guy? Well, he's not a doctor either. His Wikipedia has him listed as a vegan science writer. So basically he's not a doctor, nor is he a researcher. Here's what Max had to say about meat in the diet.
The UK Biobank study, which is a very large population, 500,000 people, observational study found that a dose response, meaning the more, animal products were consumed, the lower the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease by a pretty significant.
But what does Mick say about Max's view?
Again, from that food pyramid with all the animal products at the bottom, he clearly promotes a low carb diet. So I just have to really quickly remind people that from meta-analysis after meta-analysis, low carb diets are associated with increased mortality by about 30%. And there's not much new that he's doing here that those old low carb diets didn't do. I mean, they promoted a bunch of vegetables and olive oil and stuff like that as well.
Well, is that even true? Let's take a look. Am I the only one that thinks that Mike has a very annoying, high-pitched, squeaky voice, and Max sounds a lot more sort of normal? Mike, I think you need a steak, buddy. Okay, let's look at the UK cohort study of almost 500,000 people, which these two were discussing. Okay, look at the results here. It looks like including just 50 grams of unprocessed meat in the diet daily decreases your risk of dementia to include Alzheimer's disease. But isn't it strange that this finding was not listed in the conclusion? All the conclusion talks about is a potential risk factor for processed meats, and that being independent of the ApoE4 allele pattern. So processed meat is bad, potentially, something that was suspected, particularly depending how it's processed and what it's processed with, often with lots of chemicals and wheat and glutens and soy and all those types of things. More interesting is that unprocessed meat helps with longevity. Choline, which is only found in animal products, is associated with reduced risk of dementia. We also have to look at not just if a diet has meat or not, but what is the actual quality of that diet. Another source of implicit bias here, or just looks like poor study design, is when a study looks at cognitive performance after removing carbohydrates, but before people have become fully fat adapted. It can take 4 to 6 weeks or more for your body to ramp up the necessary machinery in order for you to fully adapt to fat for fuel. And during this time, your mind may not be completely at its peak performance until that occurs. Mike, of course, is overlooking this and just jumping to his conclusions.
So this small study which corroborates these findings with really a quite damning quote. Quote, results showed that during complete withdrawal of dietary carbohydrate, low carbohydrate dieters performed worse on memory-based tasks than the American Dietetics Association dieters. These impairments were ameliorated or got better after reintroduction of carbohydrates.
Of course, he's not going to explain that low-carb dieters reported less confusion and responded faster than those on a conventional diet. This shows that Mike is not interested in the truth, but just pushing the vegan agenda. Surprise, surprise. There's also this problem called a healthy user bias. People in these studies aren't on carnivore diets, and people they call meat eaters are basically sad diet eaters.
People who consume more meat, especially in this country, tend to be more sedentary and they tend to smoke more. This is the whole concept of healthy user bias, which is so crucially important. You have to know If you intend to know anything about nutrition, you have to know about healthy user bias. People who eat more red meat, they tend to smoke more, they tend to be more sedentary, they tend to eat more fast food. Like most meat products consumed in this country are hamburgers, they're chicken nuggets, they're those kinds of foods, ultra processed meat products.
Healthy user bias really can't be removed from the way research is currently done, unfortunately. Let's consider an additional concept, that of ketosis. First of all, almost no vegan diets are ketogenic, or very rarely. It's almost impossible to do a true vegan ketogenic diet and stick to it. Rather, the opposite, they are very high in carbohydrates. So what are the known effects of ketosis on mental health, including Alzheimer's disease and brain health? Ketogenic diets are considered neuroprotective of the brain, decreasing oxidative stress and improving the brain's neurons. During a military trial of 2 weeks of keto diet, while remaining awake for 36 hours, the keto diet improved vigilance, response time, vigor, fatigue, and sleepiness. Keto diets are considered effective treatment for Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and motor neuron diseases. Beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is a ketone that is a result of the ketogenic diet, is also being considered as an anti-aging metabolite. In a randomized crossover trial with Alzheimer's disease patients, improvements in daily function and quality of life were seen within 12 weeks utilizing a ketogenic diet. Now, there are dozens of additional studies that show how a ketogenic diet boosts mitochondrial brain health, protects from traumatic injuries, and much more. Ask yourself why this is, and the only logical answer is that fatty meat is what we evolved to eat. In fact, that is why we evolved such a large brain. So Mike the Vegan and his squeaky voice are at it again, trying to get people to identify as ruminants. But guess what? We are not ruminants. We are predators who optimize eating fatty meat. Okay, what about fiber? If you'd like to watch a recent video I did showing the truth about fiber, click over here and check it out. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.